Oh, okay. Right. We're usually more organized. Okay, welcome everyone to our April 2024 meeting for the Commission on the Status of Women. And we'll just jump right in since we're a few minutes late, sorry. So the first order of business is to approve the minutes from our March 11th, 2024 meeting, which is a special meeting. So um, is there a motion to approve um, the minutes from March 11th?
I'll motion to approve.
Thanks, Sharon. Is there a second? Thanks, Shannon. Are there any changes or I guess there were only of the commissioners here, there were only 3 of us present on March 11th. So of the 3 of us, are there any changes to the minutes or corrections? I see Sharon nodding no. Shannon, I don't know if you had any. The only change I had is that my name is misspelled. It reverted back to Conner. It's Connor, which was right for a month or 2. So, but other than that, I didn't see any changes. So, okay. So with that, we just need to vote on to approve the minutes as corrected with that correction. So all in favor, and again, there are only 3 of us who can vote on that, having been present there. Say aye or raise your hand. Okay, and that's unanimous. So great, thank you.
I abstain because I wasn't there.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. All abstentions from commissioners. So Yvonne and
Jessica.
Jessica, or unless you want to vote against. So 2 abstentions, Yvonne and Jessica. Thank you very much. All right, so our next item of business, I'm going back to the agenda, is public comment. If there's anybody there who would like to waiting to make a public comment. Michelle.
There's not.
Okay. All right, then moving right along. The new business. So the next area is new business, and the first item is to welcome Melissa Murray and Robert Stowers, and who are going to join us. Melissa is the District C Common Council member, and Robert Stowers, who's joined us before, is Director of Recreation and Parks for the City of Norwalk, and they're going to talk to us about the Women's Sports Expo. So I don't know who would like to take over from here. Melissa, should I over to you?
Hi, I'll start. I know Robert was having some other things and was going to try and jump in if he could to answer any questions about recreation and parks and how they play into my idea. But I'll kick it off with some background information. A year ago or more, I was very involved in Norwalk Actions for Reproductive Justice, and we watched your meetings in relation to that social activism I was doing before I was a Common Council member. And there was some research that Commissioner, I'm not sure how to say your last name correctly, so Commissioner Shannon was doing on the women's sports fields and the equity in women's sports fields. And I was really interested in it. And I was thinking what I can do. And when we got into the council's in process of creating a parks commission, an area where we can have a commission and raise funds and build sort of events around that commission. And one of the things I said I would like to do is do a women's sports expo. And it was just an idea I threw out, and I gave some of the history of the conclusion that it was just that men's sports just had more money than women's sports do to be able to maintain these fields. And how do we create an opportunity to create that kind of equity? And then kind of also going along with some things that have been happening in Seattle and Oregon. There's been a lot of movement in sports equity there, and got some ideas, kind of piecemealing some of these ideas. And we came up with a women's sports expo. We don't have a quite name of it yet. But that would be that Betts Park is sort of the goal. Create almost like the Seaport Association has created their Oyster Festival. We want to create an association We need, obviously, the women in town to, we're already kind of talking to stakeholders to see who would want to serve on the steering committee of this, and to put an association together. And we would showcase our sports opportunities for women. So businesses would purchase a table, and we have women's rowing in town. We have even Sports House for pickleball, which isn't exclusively for women, but they can talk about from a women's perspective. And we would get speakers and use it as an arm to also fundraise for our fields. And so really it was to throw out the idea for you to discuss if how we would work together, how we would work with you, or if someone wanted to be on our steering committee, one of the commissioners wanted to be on our steering committee, or if we would just consult or advise at times, to get your feedback on doing this. And we're looking for May 2025. So with that, if anybody has any questions or feedback for me, I'd really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I think this is really amazing. And thank you for taking the initiative to come up with this and to really work on it. I know it's a little above and beyond your role as a common council member. So thank you. I just had a quick question with the association. Is this going to be a 501c3 that's separate, or literally and is it going to be all funding for girls, women, and marginalized genders?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not
So
just for Rex and Park.
Right. So that's a good conversation. And that's why we're kind of putting our steering committee together right now, is we have to make those decisions. So the Parks Foundation is taking some time to put together. It has to go through legal. And when money is raised through them, that will go to the city to use it for the purpose we say, but really we don't have a tremendous amount of control. So the thought would be to put an association together that would be our own organization, 501c3. But I think that would really, the first step we've talked about is that we want to get our committee together, which will include people from our community who have CPAs and legal experience to help guide that. But I think that would be the best way, because then we can guide the mission. And as you and I have mentioned, if we raise more than the money than we wanted to raise, maybe then this association gives grants for sporting equipment for women. Some of there's a bar in Oregon called the Sports Bra, and they also have a nonprofit called the Sports Bra. And what they do is they raise, sports bras are expensive, for sports for women. And they raise money. They've given out 15,000 sports bras. So it would be nice if we had some extra money for those things. And yes, it is to be inclusive and gender equity and all of that. So that's the purpose.
Thank you.
This is exciting, Melissa. I just tomorrow night I start my career as a softball coach for our 8 and under group. And there's a need. There's a major need especially with losing Norwalk High. That was like the best field that we had available to the girls, and now that's out. So now everybody's at McMahon and shuffling, and there weren't that many fields to begin with, and now we're down like the primary field. And what we were talking about last year was actually the goose droppings on that field. So hopefully with new construction, the geese find a new place to go in the next couple of years. But this is exciting. My daughter's 8, so I've got the next several years of Norwalk girls sports. So any way that we can help, last month we were able to do impact award. And I think that all really for us to see something come together tangible that we worked on and accomplished. And this would be something else that we could work in partnership with you and the council and, the foundation, if it goes that route, to come out of something with achievable goals.
Yeah, your work and your research is absolutely the inspiration behind what started this conversation. It's a big thing to do, though. So I think we need, a group of 20 women around. And I've been, as you said, I've been amazed how many. I've reached out to the rowing community. I've reached out to the Board of Education. They have a liaison for coaches and things and PE teachers, and they've been very, very supportive. So it's really just getting the guidance, because outside of just kind of our four walls of having conversations within City Hall of what do we need this to look like, and how do we guide, if we do raise money to improve the fields, what does that look like? And so it's a long haul goal, but it did actually come from your inspiration. So I thank you very much for the research.
Yeah, and it came from parents, and I know that there's an active group of parents that are on those fields every week that would do anything to support, monetarily or just of their time to get those fields in better conditions, because they came to us, and then, we started asking the questions, but they would definitely love to see, some better conditions come out of it for sure.
Absolutely. So we're looking at May 2025, I wanted to mention, and we really kind of see this big picture of like, wouldn't it be great if we made ourselves in this kind of area, the place people think of to go to look for if they want their child to come to school and they want to come to the area, to be able to walk through Vets Park and be, surrounded by all the sports opportunities that we have here in Norwalk. I mean, I think we've led the charge on having a women's commission, of having gender and equity. I would love this to lead the charge. It's a really great time in women's sports, because they are, ticket sales for women's sports are going like gangbusters. It's proven there really is an interest. So we have a lot of great, headwinds. We do have the construction around the area of Vets Park, so it's not a done deal that it's in Vets Park. So there's some challenges like that, but I think we can do this with some impassioned people on board to figure it out. Robert Stowers did offer security for the first year to pay for security, policing, and that sort of thing, which is a really big expense to help with our startup costs. So, and Darlene, who is our president of, she's the chair of Recs and Parks she is the president of the council, was really enthusiastic about this. So we have a lot of great support. So the next thing I guess I need to know is, how do I work with you? I don't know your structure really, and I know it's changed in the past year. So just how do I work with you, or who would like to sit on our committee? My goal is to have a initial meeting with all the interested parties kind of sometime in mid-May, because that gives us a year out to plan.
Yeah, I mean, I would just chime in, I think, open for discussion on how we would partner, but just to echo what others have said, Melissa, really, I'm so grateful for the initiative and the energy you put behind this, and to Shannon and other commissioners who really brought this up last year and did a lot of the footwork. And I think, between parents and students, it would be great to see some young high school women get involved in this as well. But in terms of how to work with the commission, I think once you set the date for the meeting, the kind of community meeting, we could make sure that there's representation from the commission at that meeting. And then we can, maybe at our June meeting, figure out, like, do we want to have 2 or 3 people from the commission who would be kind of the representatives on that, or one person, or kind of what that would look like. But I mean, I think there's a very strong natural allegiance, and I think it is, we would need to like at least have a consensus that we want, and we do have a quorum here, but we have 4 members who are not here and still 2 vacancies. But would love to kind of get a larger group weigh in on it, including participating in it, So, but I think you can let us know when that meeting is up, and we'll just make sure that some of us are there.
Okay, wonderful. That's exciting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And it also, just to say, I mean, we, Robert had come to 2 of our meetings, I think, or 1 for sure, and then a memo at another meeting when he wasn't able to join. But I really feel like, that this aligns with a lot of what he was talking about too, in terms of the strategic plan for recreation and parks. And, Sharon and others had really brought, elevated the concern about making sure that there was a gender equity lens that was being used in evaluating plans and the actions to really advance the strategic plan. And so while this, I know, is separate, it is really connected to a lot of the interests we serve.
It really is part of the strategic plan. That's why we were talking about really, we're going to have to coordinate our own association with the Parks Association and how we want to do that. And so that this it kind of helps grow that idea of the Parks Association too for all the other equity initiatives we have. So we're really leading the charge as we women tend to do. And so I really appreciate the idea. That's all I had on that, unless anyone else has any other questions for me.
No, just please keep us, keep us in the loop. Let us know, next
Absolutely.
steps and when you have meetings, and we'll get somebody at the table for sure.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Melissa.
Did you need me to stay for ordinance? I think it's the next one on there, and I'm doing that as well.
I think so, right, Michelle?
Yes, I know, Melissa, you have a meeting coming up probably at 7:30. So as soon as you have to hop off, please do. But I think it'll be fairly quick.
Okay. You got me. I'm here.
Thank you.
So Michelle, I can just, so we, per our past conversations on the commission, reached out to the ordinance committee to, and after the February meeting, I wrote again to the full ordinance committee, basically saying giving kind of the full rationale for why we want to change the name from the Commission on the Status of Women to the Commission on Gender Equity. And my understanding, and Melissa and Michelle, please weigh in and or correct, but that basically the ordinance committee is in agreement with that decision. And then the document that was shared, I believe, is a chapter from the charter. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So what it was I went to the charter and took the old language, and I dropped in the new language. It was not controversial at all to our committee members. So I put in the new language. I think I used spell check and it put in equality instead of equity. We apologize. We would speak about it. It's equity, so we will change that back. And then we had to do a short preamble just so we hold the history of where the commission started from to where it's going. I did have Lisa Shanahan was traveling, so to keep it going, she had me get this together because she knows it's my interest. And she did get back today to review that document. And the one thing she said is the effective date in the preamble that says effective May 1st, 2024. She would advise taking that out and leaving no date at all. But other than that, whenever it said women, I just took the suggested language that Claudia, I believe you sent over the initial email of the request.
Yeah.
And put it in there and sent it out to the group and everybody. Luckily, we have a really an ordinance committee that's really committed to equity and gets it. And we're like, that makes sense. That's what we should do. So
that's great. That was very exciting to see. So thank you very much for your support on that.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, and I'm mindful that you only have a few more minutes for this, but it would be good to just maybe see the very final version of those changes to make sure that equity is consistent throughout, or are we expected to make additional changes?
Well, to move it along, because we will move it to equity, you can, I think it's a Word document and there's track changes in there. So if you want to find search and put that in there, because once you approve that version, or if it makes it more official, I can do it and send it over tonight with equity in there throughout, just so you can see it. But once you approve it, as is with the word equity changed in there, then I can get it on the agenda for the 11th committee meeting, and that keeps it sort of moving forward. If not, it kind of waits another month.
Okay, and April 11th is the next committee meeting.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And did you need? I saw in an email between you and Michelle that I was copied on that you needed somebody from the commission to, or ideally somebody from the commission would come to that meeting. Is that right?
Right. Usually someone gives a narrative. I mean, we can move it forward, and I'm happy to give the narrative. But it helps highlight and educate our council members. And I remember Commissioner Benante did a presentation maybe a year or more ago when you were doing the research on this as well. And I sat into that meeting, and I know there were several points of interest in why this is. So if you can't be there, I will do it. But I thought that, the research is really interesting for the committee and the council to be educated on how much work and research you all do.
Great. Yeah, we'll make sure somebody is there. And Michelle, do you have the details on the time and location for
I think it's Zoom, right, Melissa?
Oh,
It's Zoom at 7 p.m.
okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just take a minute and I mean, we could share Michelle, I'm looking at you on my screen, but maybe share our screen. One of us could share the screen with the document and we could just take a few minutes to kind of walk through it. Or share it afterwards and everybody commit to looking at it. I'm not sure what's best. And then we just need to identify somebody to go or to join on Thursday, which I'm happy to do. I don't know if others would like.
I think we should just look at it offline, just one last go of it, just to ensure that everything's set. And Melissa, is it on your agenda for this week?
Well, not quite yet. Yeah. So when we get it back from you with all of your changes, it will go through our committee and then we'll approve it in committee and then it'll go to the larger common council. So we'll wait to, we've got to confirm that we didn't miss anything or you have any major concerns and things like that.
Right, but
and
is it posted on the agenda
yet.
for ordinance? So it's gonna have
No.
to go through as a special vote to be added to the agenda.
Unless you guys can review tonight and decide tonight and send it to me.
Right.
I mean, I don't, if you're more it's a pretty simple document, so you might want to look at it, but because we really literally just changed what used to say women and put in the more inclusive language there. And so, but if you want to take time with it, that's okay. We were kind of moving it through for you, because it
No,
had
I know,
been
I just wanna make
missed.
sure that it's one of those things, it's taken us this long to get to this point. I don't know that we need to solve this by Thursday, is my hesitation. Like,
Totally understand.
just working through it, and getting it right, because obviously we want to get it right to go through, because it's got to go to public hearing and the whole thing. I want to make sure it's
Yeah.
perfect and ready to go. So I just don't know if everybody can commit to like a full review to get it back to you by Wednesday to make the agenda, to get posted, and the whole thing.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So,
Yeah. Whatever you guys
it's
are
up to
comfortable
you,
with.
but
Yeah.
whatever you think, I just don't feel that there's a need to rush it to Thursday at this point in time.
Well, thank you. I know, Melissa, you have to hop. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
Thank you,
much.
Melissa.
all-
Thanks.
presenting. We'll be
All
in
right. Okay. Thank you.
And we'll let you know what we decide in terms of like how quickly if we need more time or whether we'll be ready for Thursday, but I hear you. So
I understand. Thanks, guys.
okay,
Have a good
thank
night.
you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. My Zoom is not.
Zoom is not cooperating today. I mean, I can just quickly we don't have to review it, but I can share my screen so you can see what it was that they that was sent here. Let's see. Is this gonna work? All right, can you all see that?
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so it's really the
And I think without the May 1st, there's just one
right. So we
update.
take out
Yeah.
equality. I mean, equality needs to be changed throughout to equity, but basically, as she said, and it's all in track changes. So there, I would say 3 options. One, we can review it now. One, I can circulate, I can change through keep it in track changes and just take out the effective date and change equality to equity and then send it to all the commissioners to look at and either review it tonight and get back to Melissa or take time, like you said, Anna, review it. And we ask them to take it up at their May meeting. That's fine. So, but basically, I just wanted to show you, it's literally those 2 pages. So that's what it is. Yeah, Sharon.
Were we able to change the terms? Because I know they were super wonky. There was like 6-year terms, 4-year and 2-year,
I think that's a different conversation.
but it's on the same document, no? Or is that like a whole?
Change it. You're talking about changing the term of how long someone's a commissioner? I think
Well, this is different than what we had before. I have no idea.
I mean, there was a document that had each of the commissioners
Yeah.
who started 2 years ago almost 3 years ago with our names and when we were cycling off, and they were all different, right?
Oh, but B2 says for a term of 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just had to ask that. Okay, so I think we're
I don't mean to be difficult, and I don't mean to drag this on, but to do this and go in front of ordinance, it's still gonna be 2 or 3 months because it still has to go before them. They have to approve it. My cat is going crazy. I apologize. Um, they have to get it on their agenda. They have to review it. They have to approve it to move forward. Then it has to go to a public hearing. This is not gonna be done on Thursday, no matter what. And I think we're bringing up good points. Like, we wanna go before them once. So if we wanna take a pause and like look at terms and just figure out any other changes that we might wanna make, now is the time to do that. And just tell them we'll see you in May. My opinion, if I'm reading into it and there's not that much to look at, fine, but I can't read off somebody else's screen. Like, I would definitely wanna get a chance to like look at this offline and
Yeah.
just read it and go through it.
Yeah. Here, I'll stop sharing. I mean, yeah, I don't know what others feel, Sharon, Yvonne, Jessica, I mean,
I agree with Shannon. I think that coming back in May with everything we need to address would be a better option.
I see Jessica nodding. So that's fine. The one thing I would say is that we not wait until our May meeting to
Oh, no,
share.
yeah. I think we give
because we
ourselves,
don't,
and I think we give ourselves to the end of this week. Like, if you could send it
Yeah.
out, Claudia, and we all
Yeah.
commit to getting anything back to you this week,
yeah,
give it one more look over, get it back to Michelle, to funnel to Melissa, and get it off our docket, absolutely. I just don't, there's no need to push this for it to be on an agenda for Thursday.
Yeah.
That's my only pause.
yeah, no, that totally makes sense, Shannon. I mean, the one, I would love to keep it moving, not for Thursday, but just in general, right? So
Oh,
that
yeah.
we can, because also like even last summer, we were waiting to make, when we were doing all the tabling, we didn't want to make a tablecloth because we were hoping to get the name change.
Name
We didn't want to
change.
do
Yeah,
the
no.
t-shirt. We wanted to get the name change and the new logo for the city.
Yep.
So we have been waiting a while, and it was several months ago that I first reached out to the ordinance committee, and so it has been a little bit of a slow process. And I get
But not
that
for anything, but they like kind of let you hang, and now they're like, oh, we
Yes.
can take it Thursday. It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
no, totally.
we started
Okay,
this a while ago.
So what I'll do is the only thing I'll do is in track changes, change equality to equity, and take out the May date and send it around to all the commissioners with you copied, Michelle, and give everybody a date to get your input back with in track changes so everybody can see it.
Perfect. And I like
and
that too, because we're missing half our group.
I know.
That gives them a bite at the apple too, to get a chance to look at it.
Agreed.
So
Agreed. Okay, that sounds great. So I'll do that tonight and send it out just so we don't lose any time. And then maybe I'll just give everybody till a week from today. So I know weeks are busy, and then it's at least, and I'll just flag that it's 2 pages so people don't think it's like a 14-page document that needs review.
thank you, Claudia, for doing that.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Okay, so I think unless there's anything else on that, move the next agenda item, which is still under new business, the community outreach and engagement committee. So just feedback on the Commission on Status of Women's Impact awardee ceremony. I can, on behalf of Christina and Yvonne and I, who met earlier today, the committee met. Jasmine and Sarah were not available, but kind of the main takeaways were, and there's some other thinking that we want to do about sort of some recommendations to improve it for next year. And so that will kind of be, we're going to discuss that at our next meeting. So really for now, just, a feeling that that basically there was in the community and the folks that were there, just a great appreciation that this was launched. That the commission took a very, concrete action that gave both the commission visibility, but also recognized 2 amazing members of our community. That there were huge thanks to Michelle for really pulling together like an extraordinary lineup of speakers. It was really well attended. The feeling in the room for those of us that were there, I think it was just really positive and uplifting. so all of those, and then there's some mechanics that we think we can improve. I mean, the other, and I'm sorry Christina's not here because she just deserves like incredible kudos, which we shared today and at the event. But just for really helping give this shape. There was an idea and she kind of really put together the framework for the rubric that allowed Yvonne and me to kind of help feed in and, oh, look at the cat. Oh, God. The kind of the process for and the getting the whole application process and nomination process up and running. So just she did a tremendous amount of work and really have so much gratitude to her for that. So yeah, what am I missing, Yvonne, on I think some of the recommendations will be around kind of process and doing things earlier, making sure that there's clarity on the nomination process, that there's a clear communication process with all nominees, whether they're selected or not. So, Yvonne.
I don't think you're missing anything. Yes, that's pretty much what we talked about today.
So, and then as I say, at the next outreach committee meeting, we'll kind of think a bit more kind of, tactically about like what are some of the things we'd like to do differently and start earlier and things like that. So, and then we'll come back to the commission with some of those recommendations.
We, I mean, the work that was done by Christina and everybody was incredible. We had a meeting today at work on our like social metrics and stuff, and they had posted our event, and it was one of the highest like clicks, received the highest clicks of our recent posts. So it definitely gained a lot of traction outside of just our committee and even outside of City Hall. I mean, it definitely people were engaged in taking a look at everything. So I think that's great, and I wanted to share that with everybody.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, that was another thing Christina mentioned today was that not the point you just made, but positive or good, what's the word, like sort of coverage of it, that it was well received and got good coverage. So yeah, it was really lovely. And I've seen a ton of great social media posts about Rashmi and I'm hopeful too that once our name is changed, that some of the students might be more inclined to join us as well, which would be great. Get some young folks on the committee.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Michelle too for all her support throughout the beginning when we started promoting and putting those flyers together and the social media content together for us all the way through the ceremony and getting those speakers. Thank you, Michelle.
Of course. I'm so glad to see people learn about the commission and, what better way to learn about the commission than to highlight two amazing people in the community. So great job in following through on that event. I thought it was really, really wonderful for the community.
Great. All right. The last item under last item under new business is the diversification of boards and commissions committee. If there's any new business from that.
Nope. Our committee does not have any new business.
Okay. That's quick. Thank you. So moving on to old business, community outreach and civic engagement committee. Yvonne.
Yes. So we wanted to go back into our efforts we had during last year and doing tabling events and surveying people in the community about what kind of things they thought the commission should focus on when we're thinking about developing plans for either supporting legislation or initiatives that we want to have. And we wanted to run that by the commission, our results, and then make a couple of well, not decisions right now, but like put it in, start thinking about what we want to do this 2024. So the first thing is, I just wanted to share with you a few the results that we got. If you recall, there were 5 issues that we brought to the public attention, and we asked them whether what they wanted us to focus on the most. So one of them was childcare. The other one was LGBTQ plus rights, pay equity, reproductive rights, and violence against women. When we surveyed people, we also divided the survey. We asked them to self-identify on whether they felt they identified as a woman, girl, or marginalized gender. We also wanted to know if people identify as a man. And then the same 2 categories, whether they lived in Norwalk or they were out of Norwalk. So as per people that identified as a woman, girl, or marginalized identity, the issue that they really wanted to look into the most was violence against women. The second issue was reproductive rights, and the third issue was childcare. Residents of Norwalk who identified as a man, just to clarify, the first group were Norwalk residents as well, the one that I just mentioned. So residents of Norwalk that identified as a man mentioned that what they wanted us to focus on was reproductive rights. That was number 1. Violence against women and childcare were second and third. They had the same number of votes. People that were not residents and identified as a woman, girl, marginalized gender felt that reproductive rights was the most important. Next came LGBTQ plus rights, and then violence against women. And last but not least, people who identified as a man are not resident of Norwalk. Focus on reproductive rights first. Next was violence against women, and third was LGBTQ issues. So the final results from all the issues that we presented, the score reproductive rights at its highest, violence against women second, and child care third. So those were the issues that people really wanted us to focus on, the people that we asked. By the way, in total, we have 387 respondents to our survey. So we wanted to bring it back, see what the commission thinks we should do with these results. And also, next to it, whether we should be, as a commission, participating in these tabling events this year again, whether we feel we have the capacity to do it, and whether we feel that commissioners are able to join us in the events so we can, divide the work into tabling these events together. Of course, we are only 5 now. So, we will not have, we are missing half of our group, and we need to, kind of have common conversation about that. But these are the things that we wanted to bring about the conversation to this. So I don't know if you have any questions. Any ideas on how we should proceed with these results?
I just wanted to mention that with the new chair, whoever that is might actually be able to identify how that person wants to kind of move forward with that. And maybe we kind of wait for the new chair and just to see how things, you know what I mean? Let them move forward with that. But anyways, great work. I loved hearing all about it. Really great work. Thank you for all that.
Also, oh, sorry, go ahead, Yvonne. Yeah, I was just going to say, yes, thank you also to Sharon, who's not here, for kind of like compiling a lot of the numbers, and to Yvonne, thank you for all the work you've done on that and sharing. And I guess in addition to what you said, Sharon, which I think that's right, like the new chair can kind of help give some direction and help us, navigate what we want to do, given that we all have busy lives and limited capacity. But I think the other thing too, though, is because we have busy lives and limited capacity, we need to be really thoughtful and strategic about what we want to take on as a commission, and make sure that all the commissioners are really behind it and are willing to, kind of like Yvonne was saying, like dedicate some time outside of our once a month Monday meetings. So whether, among the tabling events, if we decide to do that again, if everybody takes like one turn and we do it by twos, for example, it's like everybody would do once, maybe. I think we did like 4 tabling events last year, but a number of us did several of them, right? And so I think, if we decide to proceed with that, we really need like a kind of critical mass of engagement, or how we want to identify, select those issues that were identified as the ones that the community thinks are most urgent and in need of attention. What do we want to do, and do we have the energy and commitment behind it? So I think it's a mix, right? So yeah, I mean, I think one thing, it's just in addition to the conversation we just had about the ordinance, the name change, that document. I mean, I think what I'll do in the email, that when we send that out, when I send it out to all the commissioners, is really just, to the greatest extent possible, if everybody can make the May meeting, we can, kind of like focus on planning for like the summer and next fall, but yeah, welcome, like Yvonne said, thoughts on, in addition to what Sharon said or what I've chimed in on, Jessica or Shannon, if you guys have thoughts on how to move forward. Do we, with those issues that were identified as priorities, or in sort of, the extent to which we should table? Do we want to do a survey again? I mean, I think we have some good direction from the community. I don't know that a survey is necessary. I do think some awareness raising would be a really good value of tabling, but open for sure for discussion.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that definitely the advantage of doing the tabling events was that we were out in the community. People were having conversations with us. A lot of people learn about the commission. They ask questions. So there is a certain outreach aspect about it that goes beyond the surveys. So.
One thing to note, it came up today that the Pride in the Park at Vets Park is June 8th. So maybe just to think about that, because we're kind of having these conversations. The survey might not be the right thing. Maybe we just want to have a presence, especially with the name change going through. I feel like that's a good place to get some visibility. Yeah, it's just chaos here tonight. But it might be something good to just kind of have on our radar to plan for it. Like I said, maybe we don't need to do the surveys, but just be there, get some giveaways, just be a part of the community that day.
So maybe we put that on I know the Community Outreach Committee is going to try to meet between now. We met, as I said earlier today, but between now and our May meeting, which is what day is that? Don't know, the 5th or 6th, maybe. No, it's the second Monday, so it'd be a week later. Yeah, so we'll be right. And I don't remember how we secured space for Pride in the Park. Do you know, Shannon? I'm forgetting now what we did last year. Do you have to?
I can find out. I'm happy to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Michelle, do you remember?
Yeah, I think you guys just emailed the organizers and asked them for space. It should
Okay.
be the same organizers as last year, the Triangle community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard of any planning around it just yet. I'm sure they're planning, but I don't know if they got to that part yet.
Yeah, we had somebody call the office today, and I just happened to go online, and it was, all updated with June 24 date. So, and I'll reach out to them and see the process and just make sure that, like Michelle said, it really seems like we should have seen something by now. It's such a big event, but yeah, we'll follow up on that.
Okay. It was
One of
super
the other
organized.
events, Oh, sorry, Claudia.
No, go ahead.
One of the other events we did last year, although we didn't run the survey at that event because we weren't ready, was the mental health walk, which is organized by Norwalk Ag. And that's coming up quickly. Also, is beginning of May. I think it's the 5th or the 4th. Yeah, May 4th. So just to have it in mind.
And then one thing you said, Shannon, just to have some giveaways, that would be amazing. At Pride in the Park, there were like tons of giveaways, but again, we don't really have a budget for anything. So the thing that we used to kind of draw people to the table was like, come take a survey, right? But yeah, so I think it would be amazing to have something. Again, I think like what that is we also did have some of the books and the bookmarks, so that was good. You know, the books we were really preserving for younger folks, since it was a young people's book. But so we need to give some thought to that too, right? People will happily take a flyer or a like one pager, but I think they're happier to come over and get a pen or a magnet or I don't know what. So stickers are big, but yeah, sure.
Just, mention that. I don't know if you guys noticed when Dominique was talking about in her speech during the Impact Awards, she did mention budgets and how great it would be for women, girls, maybe our commission to have a budget. Now, I did sit on the Arts Commission. We had a budget. So how much are we looking for? Would it be possible? It doesn't have to be huge, but I think given the work that we do, we should ask for it.
Mhm. Agreed. Well, maybe that's something, Yvonne, in the committee meeting, we could sort of put together kind of a list of the things that, if we're doing tabling for awareness raising, what are the kind of need to have items, and what would that cost, and then we could come back to the commission with that. And then, yeah, I mean, who would we, this is a question, I don't know who we go to follow up on that, Sharon. I mean, Michelle, can you give guidance on that, or Shannon, or?
Yeah, I think you would make a recommendation, then I would put that forward to our city clerk and the mayor's office. But you could, once it's done, you could even send it to the city clerk and CC me, and then wait. Budget, we have fiscal year budgets, right, that go through till June 30th. So the timing's probably okay, right? I'm thinking about next year's budget.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's super helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
Maybe not in time for the mental health walk, but but maybe for Pride in the Park, and certainly for things later.
I remember Irene saying that the Arts Commission is the only commission with a budget. Just to keep that in mind. I just remembered that, but always worth a try.
I mean, I anticipate it would be fairly modest sum of money, so.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll work up a small budget and see. All right. Anything else on that? Otherwise, we can move along. Sorry, I keep losing the agenda. Okay. The next item under old business is from the Diversification of Boards and Commissions Committee on any existing vacancies on boards and commissions, and anything else you might want to share.
Sure, I'll start with old business. We still have 3 items that we're working on. We really want to finish up with our original proposal. I'm hanging on to those. We'll keep trying to push those through, but one is we're working on the onboarding doc, and we recommend that we continue to pilot it with even the next new member, and just to keep updating it. The second item and the third item, we're in a holding pattern because Latoya has left. And those 2 items are, one, having the city compile yearly data on gender and race on boards and commissions. It's something we've been talking about now, we're in the 3rd year of this. And we really want the city to take this on, so that if our commission were to be gone, this work would still continue. The third item was establishing D&I training for the commissions and the boards. And so, Michelle, if you have any updates on maybe when LaToya's position will be filled, or if there's someone that could help us move any of those last two items forward, that would be helpful.
Sorry, I don't have an update on when the position is moving forward because of our quote unquote budget challenges. We're in a hiring freeze, so all positions that aren't quote unquote non-essential have been frozen just for the time. What am I trying to say? For now, that might change in the near future. I don't have any updates. I apologize on the legal realm of the city being able to collect board gender and racial status for boards and commissions. So I need to go back to the legal department. I haven't done that. So I will add that to my list. And I think that's it from me, right? For your questions?
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of this doesn't have to be exact. It's just to give us sort of a point of data to look at year by year to see how we're doing with getting women into these commissions that really, and marginalized genders and everyone else, just to make sure that our voices are heard, right? So it doesn't have to be exact. I know you had someone help out last year. So maybe if we could consider if someone else could take that on, putting that data together. I know it takes probably 5 or 6 hours to do. Let me know. Okay, let me continue moving here. Yeah, so let's talk about I wanted to talk about 2 commissions tonight. We have 2 openings on our commission. I'd love to see more representation on our committee from the LGBTQ plus community. I spoke, oh no, actually I didn't talk about this, but I think we should consider having a man on our commission. An ally, which is something perhaps we incorporate into our impact awards, an ally award. And then also I want to highlight the police commission. It has 5 members, including the mayor. There's only 1 woman at this time, and they have a vacancy per the charter revision that just happened January 2024. So if you know of anyone, please bring them forward. Thanks, guys. Any
Great, thanks.
questions? Sorry, any questions?
I don't think there's anything in our bylaws that refers to the gender of our commissioners. So I think, I also, in addition to what you said, Sharon, would love to see young people, like super young, like Roshni's age, like teenagers, or, young folks. So, I mean, I think that's a huge value of tabling. If we kind of even had something that, just letting folks know that we're here and that we're actively recruiting people to fill seats on the commission. I think that would be great, and kind of what we're doing, what we've done thus far, and it helps to let people know what they're what to expect if they put their name forward.
And I do know that our commission talked about collaborating more with the engagement committee to see if there's a way for us to show up at those events as well, to really highlight the boards and commissions and what's open. And so just something to think about.
Great. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, any questions or comments on what Sharon shared? Okay. All right, then our last item is to the item is to vote for a new chair, which we, as you know, I announced in February that I was going to be stepping down as chair, and that we move that to the April meeting because of the nature of our March meeting and the impact awards. But in some discussion before, because we knew we had 4 commissioners who were not going to be able to be here tonight, Michelle and I connected to talk about maybe postponing the vote to the May meeting, so that we hopefully have, and we do have a quorum, we could move ahead, but I think it's nice, as we've said this evening on 2 other things, to have kind of as many people as possible. If we can get closer to 9, that would be great. Michelle, I saw you came up. Chime in on
The only thing I was gonna say, yeah, I'd love to hear what everyone was gonna say, is that if anyone is interested in being chair or even vice chair, please let Claudia and Shannon know. Everyone is amazing and qualified, and we would be lucky to have anyone as chair or vice chair. And again, thank you, Claudia, for serving the commission as long as you have. You've done such a wonderful job, and it's been such a blessing.
Thank you. That's really sweet. Yeah. Yeah, I know at least one person I think has put their name forward for chair. And so, but we definitely would need a vice chair. I mean, I think 2.5 years ago, there was discussion of having co-chairs, right? Which I think is also something that could be explored. But anyway, if everyone, do we need to vote on postponing that vote or no? I see Shannon saying, okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll just leave it on the agenda for next month.
Okay,
and-
perfect. We'll leave it on the agenda. And again, I will encourage everybody to really, I mean, ideally everybody comes every month, but we have a few things that are for May that are really would benefit from a full participation. Good. So unless there's anything else, I think that it brings us to the end of the agenda. Is there anything else before we close? No? Okay. So our next meeting is Monday, the May 13th. And I will, as I said, I will send out the ordinance, that section from the charter this evening. Okay. All right. So is there a motion for the meeting?
Mhm.
Thanks, Shannon. Second? Yvonne, thank you. All right. It's 8:03. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great evening and a great rest of the week. Take care. Hopefully
Thank
no
you.
more
Thanks so much.
earthquakes.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.